What's good, people? It's your boy Lowry.
True hippie.
What's good, people? Yes. Good evening, people. Good evening. Welcome to the EverythingLowery Show, the show where I break down all of the latest entertainment news of the week. I'm your host. I'm your boy Lowry. Apologize for the slight delay. I know the show was supposed to start at 8. And also, the reason for the show starting at 8 is actually I remember that Traitors is back on TV. So if you're a Traitors fan, first episode's today at 9 p.m. BBC haven't paid me to say that, so I'm giving you guys some free game there. But how's everyone doing tonight, man? Let me know in the chat. I can see, someone's already told me that I'm late. My bad. I'm sorry, Karim. Apologize. But also, let me know if you guys like this 8 p.m. Showing. Is this better than 9:30? I'm still tinkering with things here or there, but without further ado, man, let's get into it. So for tonight's topics, we got another loaded show. We've had a few good weeks of topics to discuss, man. We have major updates on the Michael Jackson biopic movie, which is coming out next year. We've got confirmation that Heat 2, yes, Michael Mann's Heat 2 is on the way. Netflix, streaming wars again. They're making a big play for Champions League football, right? So I'm going to be getting into that. Also, we've got The Rock's new movie, The Smashing Machine, which opens to his worst box office numbers ever. So we're going to get into that as well. And then I have reviews for 2 movies. One film is a horror film called Good Boy. And the second review is for the big one of the week, Tron Ares. So any Tron fans in the building, stay tuned to the end of the show because I will have my review on that. So let's get into the news, man. And we're starting off strong, man. First news story for tonight. And let's discuss the upcoming Michael Jackson biopic film. And it looks like there have been some major changes to the film. So let's get into the news, man. So on comingsoon.net, they say that the Michael Jackson movie reshoots significantly have changed the ending of the film. And now a sequel is not even guaranteed. So Michael, which is the title of the biopic, the long-awaited movie about Michael Jackson, reportedly experienced major changes during reshoots. So what changes occurred for the Michael Jackson biopic? So Michael's journey from production to the big screen has been tumultuous. Originally scheduled for a 2025 release, Michael was delayed. So actually the film was supposed to come out, I think, in October. It's now been delayed to April next year due to reshoots. And it was all to do with the movie's third act. So the movie's third act reportedly touched on Jackson's sexual abuse allegations in the early 90s. However, there was an agreement between the Jackson estate and the pop star's accuser that was already in place, stating that Jackson's accuser should not be included in the film. And this was, I think, in the court documents years ago, which meant, and again, this is reported, it's not been fully confirmed, but it means that effectively the first, the part 1 and part 2 in the film were probably going to be about, Jackson 5, Thriller album, Bad album, can't remember what albums come after that. And then the final act was going to touch on the abuse allegations that he was later known for, that practically took over his latter part of his career. But that doesn't seem to be happening anymore. So according to Matthew Belloni, Michael's reshoots are complete, and now the movie features a different ending. Additional photography has now wrapped. The film ends after Jackson's triumphant rise to fame in the 80s. Bologna wrote, so all the footage of MJ's later King of Pop and scandal-plagued years, including 2 weeks of shooting at the Neverland Ranch, now owned by Ron Burkle, is unusable. Due to the first cut being nearly 4 hours, guys, we were going to get a 4-hour Michael Jackson biopic movie. Jeez. Lionsgate has considered splitting the Michael movie into two parts. And I did speak about this earlier on in the year. They did mention that there would be a part 1 and part 2 of this Michael Jackson movie. Because of the reshoots and financial gamble, a second movie is not guaranteed. Producer Graham King's plan is to make a second Michael movie that would include all of that stuff, plus a significant amount of additional yet to be shot footage, which stars Jafar Jackson, Coleman Domingo, and Miles Teller. But that will now depend on, yes, you guessed it, how the film is received by audiences next April. They've also added, if it's a hit or if all signs are pointing that direction, they greenlight part 2, and if not, producers eat all that unused footage. Also says here, Jafar Jackson stars as Michael Jackson. Jafar is Michael's nephew and the son of Michael's brother, Jermaine. The rest of the ensemble includes Coleman Domingo, Nia Long, Miles Teller, Laura Harrier, Kat Graham, Lorenz Tate, and Derek Luke. Antoine Fuqua directs Michael from a screenplay by John Logan, and Lionsgate will release Michael in the United States. Okay, so Universal are going to handle the international distribution. And we have confirmation of the first trailer, which is going to be coming attached to the showings of the upcoming Wicked movie, Wicked for Good, in November. And it says here, the Michael biopic film opens in cinemas from the 24th of April 2026. Wow, that is a lot. I'm a massive Michael Jackson fan, and I have been really, really, really excited to see this film. And I've had a bit of, mixed feelings about it, with the casting getting me super hyped. But then earlier on, they wanted to condense everything into one movie. Then I was like, well, you can't really put Michael's whole life into a 2-hour film. It's just not going to work. And then it came out saying there's going to be a part 1 and part 2. That got my hype back up. But now I'm kind of back in the middle, because these are major changes. The film now ends in the 80s, the rise to fame era, the bad, the movies that he was in, all of that type of stuff. And it is unfortunately going to cut out Jackson's most controversial years. Now, my question to you guys in the chat and in the comments, should biopics focus only on the legacy, or should they tell the full truth, which unfortunately can include scandals? This is what people had complaints about the recent Bob Marley biopic, a film that I really enjoyed, but one of the pushbacks to the movie is that the movie didn't really tell the full truth about Marley's relationships, and it kind of instead focused more on his legacy. So they kind of shied away from the negative side of Bob Marley. Splitting into 2 films, it was always going to be a big gamble. But with this news, it looks like this is no longer going to happen, and it is going to be banking on box office performance, which, to be honest, I think this movie is going to have no issues. I think Michael Jackson, I think he's the all-time selling solo artist or something like that. A biopic, the cinemas are going to be packed for months. So I actually think this film's going to make over $1 billion. I think this Michael biopic could easily make over $1 billion. His legacy, his career, his music, he's the GOAT artist of all time in my opinion. Sorry. So I don't think there's going to be an issue financially, but I think it's more so, do they want to do a film and include the scandals that fans know of what happened, and do they want to dig deeper into what happened? Do the estate want to highlight that? Do they want to bring everything back up? I think that is probably more of the question as to why now they're doing it in 2 parts. Either way, though, I still think it should be. I actually think it should be a trilogy of films because I don't think you can condense his whole entire career into 1 or 2 movies. I think it needs to be way more. So yeah, man. But exciting news to know that we are getting the first trailer very soon. Wicked. I think Wicked comes out end of this month or beginning of November. So, and Jafar Jackson looks really cool. I mean, he looks like for like. They've done a very good job. And with the cast, man, we've got Coleman Domingo, Nia Long, Miles Teller, Laura Harrier, some big boy actors. So I think this is going to be a solid film. But guys, let me know in the chat, are you excited for this upcoming Michael biopic? Are you fans of Michael Jackson? Should they have included the controversy surrounding him, or should they just keep it as they're doing at the moment to his legacy and just having it that way? And are you guys going to watch this movie in cinemas? Let me know. But yeah, that is the big update on the Michael biopic so far. And of course, when more news, probably when the trailer comes out, we'll break it down on the show, man. But yeah, that is it for the Michael biopic updates. And don't forget, that movie comes out in cinemas from the 24th of April, 2026. So next year. So we've got people in the chat. Everyone's locked in. So we've got people saying, really looking forward to this. Looking forward to watching it. I think if it's a biopic, I think there's a bit missing there. But I'm gauging, you're saying, if it's a biopic, show their whole life. Which I do it. Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, cool. Next up, and this I'm also excited for, and it's come out. Oh wait, we've got some more chats here. Yes, can't wait. Stories should be shared, but not focused on abuse. Yeah, it's definitely a difficult subject to get right in a film, especially as well, and all the other stuff that came with Michael Jackson in terms of the music rights that he owned and all the stories coming from that. There is a lot of stuff to him. Also, his relationship with his family, his dad, all of that stuff. So, yeah, I get the point of maybe the estate just wanting to celebrate Michael as an artist rather than highlighting negativity when it comes to him. But yeah, back to the second story for tonight. And guys, we're talking about Heat 2. Heat 2, we can now confirm that Heat 2 is on the way. We are getting a sequel to the 1995 crime classic film. So let's get into it. So here, The Hollywood Reporter says that Heat 2 is on. Michael Mann's crime drama moves from Warner Bros. To United Artists. We have Jerry Bruckheimer and Scott Stuber producing. Mann is set to direct the follow-up to his 1995 feature, which has Leonardo DiCaprio circling to star. So we've already got big boys attached to it, and now we've got Leonardo DiCaprio attached to it. I mean, this is already setting up to be another classic. So it says here, Heat 2, the high-profile Michael Mann follow-up to his 1995 classic drama classic, is getting a new home, ensuring that the ambitious and buzzy feature project will be getting made after all. United Artists, the Amazon MGM studio division, is in talks to pick up the project from Warner Bros. After the latter let the movie be shopped in August when it was unable to agree with Mann on a budget. Hollywood vets Jerry Bruckheimer, known for his high-octane thrillers such as Top Gun. He also did the Bad Boys movie as well. Anything basically fast-paced from the 80s and 90s had Jerry Bruckheimer behind it. And Scott Stuber, who ran from Netflix and is tied to UA, have boarded the project as producers. Mann and Stuber's partner Nick Nesbitt are also producing. The crime thriller is coming with plenty of Hollywood heat, as a bevy of A-listers have been mentioned in connection with the project. So as I just mentioned, with Leonardo DiCaprio circling, other actors' names have surfaced, include Austin Butler, Adam Driver, and Bradley Cooper. However, no offers have been made to that talent, let alone any actor deals signed. The original Heat starred Al Pacino as an hardened Los Angeles cop named Vincent Hanna, who, ignoring his deteriorating personal life, is obsessed with tracking down career criminal Neil McCauley, who was played by Robert De Niro. And guys, let me know in the comment if you have watched Heat, because Heat is a classic, by the way. He wants to pull off one last heist before retiring. The cast included Val Kilmer, Ashley Judd, Amy Brenneman, that's such a tongue twister surname, Tom Sizemore, and John Voight. The movie proved to have a lasting impact over filmmakers and pop culture, building a legacy over the decades as a cinematic classic. It also says here, a sequel to Heat began a slow burn when Mann released the 2022 crime novel Heat 2, co-written with author Meg Gardiner, which became #1 New York Times bestseller. I feel like every book that comes out is a New York Times bestseller. Like, how does every book become a #1 bestseller? Like, every book can't be #1. Like, every time I see New York's best time seller. But yeah, acting as both prequel and sequel, the sprawling Heat 2 story is set in several timelines. One follows a younger Macaulay and his crew pulling off daring heists and living the high life. Another tells what happened to Shahilis, the lovelorn thief played by Kilmer in the 1995 movie, in the aftermath of the first movie's climactic robbery. I don't know if you guys remember that scene, the famous scene from Heat with the bank robbery with the shootout in the middle of the street. Classic scene. If you haven't watched Heat 1, please add that to your watch list. And his multi-year quest to reunite with his former girlfriend, who was played by Judd in the original. One part of the book is set in the lawless South America drug zone, and there is also an overarching bad guy, more brutal than anything seen in the first movie, and murderer, I can't say this next word because of social media, named Otis Wardle. So it goes on to say here that the initial budget for the movie, and this is a reported budget, came in at $230 million. Jeez. And then it was whittled down to 170 million, and Warner Bros were ready to make this same movie for between 135 million and 145 million. Alternately, according to sources, it was willing to push the budget. So they wanted to push the budget up to 150 million, but they would only commit to a Heat 1 and not Heat 3. So there's possibility of a Heat 3. All right, that's good. I'm not going to bore you with the rest of it because it's just going into other stuff. But guys, this is exciting news. I mean, the casting rumors, A-list frenzy, whoever they go with, I think are going to get bums on seats. And personally, for me, I like all of the actors that have been mentioned so far. Leonardo DiCaprio, he's a GOAT. Just watched him in the One Battle After Another movie. Good film if you haven't watched that. Austin Butler, rising star. I like him. Adam Driver, really good actor. He has that mystique about him. I think he could definitely fit into this type of movie. And Bradley Cooper. Who would you want to see in Heat 2? Let me know. And I mean, who's the bigger question is, out of all the actors, who can step in to Pacino and De Niro's shoes? Because it looks like this film is going to be a time jumping film. So we're going to see them in their younger days and then after the robbery. So they're big shoes to fill. Like I already mentioned, Heat 1 that came out in 1995 is considered one of the greatest crime films of all time. So Heat 2 is already going to have massive shoes to fill, and also, does it even have a chance of living up to that legacy, or will it be doomed to suffer, the impossible expectations that we as fans who love the originals always put? We put big expectations on sequels to movies, and it doesn't always pay off. Also, guys, the budget is insane. Even that the smaller, what Warner wanted to make it for, between 135 and 140 million, 150 million. I mean, is it justifiable? I mean, that's a lot of money. That you're getting into like Marvel territory, DC comic book movie territory, Fast and Furious, where they're blowing up Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and yeah, they need that budget. But for a crime thriller, I think that's a lot of money. Not unless it's going to be CGI heavy and they're not going to be able to shoot on location and stuff. I don't know. I was doing some research, and I think the average for a crime thriller, I think like The Departed was 80-90 million or something like that. So yeah, being almost double, I don't know, man. And also in this generation, will a crime thriller make that money back? Because the rule of thumb is that a film needs to make about 3 times its money back to be quote unquote profitable. Again, different production houses have different measurements, but that's what I've always heard is the rule when it comes to a film being successful. So yeah, I don't know if a Heat 2 would make close to 500 million, but we never know. But yeah, this is super exciting news. I can see we've got some Heat fans in the building. Heat 2 should be good. Can't remember Heat 1. Then you gotta get on streaming and watch that Heat 1. Apparently Al Pacino suggested Timothée Chalamet. Timothy's a shout, because if they are doing if it's a time jumping film and they need someone to play the younger version, then Timothy could be in there. And I can't lie, Timothy has proved me wrong. I didn't see what everyone saw in him from the get-go. It took me a while to warm to him, but Wonka, he was fantastic in that film. I mean, Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, I mean, I don't need to say much about that film. I mean, both of those movies are incredible movies. I didn't really like him in that Bones and All film. It was like, I think it was like that vampire film. Didn't really move me, but the way he's moving at the moment, Timothée Chalamet, he's moving like a A-list actor. You don't really see him in any controversy or anything. Every time you see him, he's just in a banger, and he just moves in silence. So I like him. I think he's a good actor. And I mean, if you've got Pacino saying, "Yo, get Timothy in Heat 2," that's a big cosign, because Al Pacino's another GOAT. Oscar told you about Timothy. You didn't tell me about Timothy. I told you about Timothy. Oscar Isaac. Yeah, but the thing about Oscar Isaac, Timothy's 29. Oscar Isaac, he is 46. Again, this depends on the age of characters that they need. I like Oscar Isaac. I think he's another great actor. Although I think the Moon Knight series didn't do him the best of, considering he starred in a few recent films that haven't showcased his acting abilities, but being in Heat 2 could bring him back. I mean, he's in the upcoming Frankenstein movie, which is coming out on Netflix, and that looks really good. So, and he's playing Victor Frankenstein, so he could bounce back with that movie. But yeah, guys, Heat 2 on the way. And yeah, when more information becomes available, I'll be keeping you guys in the loop. But let me know about your excitement for Heat 2. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're doing all right for time, guys. We're doing right. Barry Keoghan, I don't know about Heat 2. Good actor, but I don't know for Heat. Movie superstar. Yeah, Timothy is a superstar. I hold my hands, and I admit Timothy is a superstar. All right, cool. Next up on tonight's show, guys, and let's move over to streaming wars. And it looks like Netflix are set to bid for the Champions League games, Champions League football, not soccer, as Americans will say. If there's any Americans in the chat, it's football. You play with your feet and you kick the ball, it's football. But let's get into this, man. This news came out last night, and I was like, what? So it says here, UEFA targets streaming giants in Champions League broadcast rights revamp. European football chiefs want global streaming giants to bid for Champions League rights when they take the 2027 to 2033. Jeez, that's a far into the future cycle to the market next week. UC3, the joint venture between UEFA and European football clubs, the new name for the European Club Association, announced it is starting the tender process for Europe's 5 biggest markets: France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and the United Kingdom, on the 13th of October. It will be the first rights cycle run by American agency Relevant, who replaced UEFA's long-term global sales partner team marketing in 2024, and the European governing body. And the top clubs want to surpass the £4.3 billion, €5 billion mark in terms of annual media income from the continent clubs competition. To do that, Relevant is aiming to entice Apple, Netflix, or one of the other major streaming platforms to buy the exclusive global rights to at least one Champions League game a season, with Netflix's Christmas Day NFL offering being the obvious comparison. But Relevant will also invite UEFA's current media partners to bid for rights in more than one market, and for longer terms than the 3-year deals that have been the standard in Europe for decades. The latter represents a relaxing of the European Commission's Sorry, guys, my mic just cut out there. Apologies. The latter represents a relaxing of the European Commission's insistence on short deals to promote regular competition, a policy media companies dislike as bidding processes are expensive and risky. While bringing Netflix to the table would be a coup for Relevant, an easier target might be DAZN, which brought the global streaming rights to the first 2 editions of the Club World Cup, or Amazon, which already streams one Champions League game a week in Germany, Italy, and the UK. This is huge news, man. Damn. I didn't expect that Netflix are going to be jumping in like that. But yeah, it's clear to see, as if you own a Netflix account, Netflix are clearly pivoting to live events. As I mentioned in this article, they had the recent NFL game last Christmas. I think it was on Christmas Day, actually, with Beyonce performing at halftime. They also had the recent boxing matches with Tyson, I think it was Jake Paul. There was Canelo, and who was it? Terence Crawford, I think it was. So Netflix are pivoting to live events, and I've spoken about this streaming wars on my show many times, and streaming is no longer a lucrative business. That it's not the business that people thought it would be, especially during COVID. The streaming giants put so billions and billions thinking that people were going to stay home. This was the new norm. And turns out that's not the case. And now we have a fragmented market with streaming platforms. And now it's become an expensive luxury. When Netflix first entered the scene, it was revolutionary. Fan favorite TV shows, movies, and then you had original content as the platform developed, all for a price that felt fair. The price you didn't mind paying. I think at the time it was like $8.99 or £10 a month. Fast forward to now, you've got Amazon, Apple, Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, even Channel 4, ITV. The market is crazy. So the money that these guys make is not what it once was before COVID. And now, if you were to have all of the streaming platforms to watch all the stuff that you want, you're looking at almost £100 a month now, which is back to cable television prices, which is what we wanted to get away from when streaming first came out. So with this news, I am excited that football is evolving. Honestly, I think that as a sport, it has become stagnant compared to other major sports. When you watch basketball, when you watch baseball, tennis, Formula One, it's a lot more engaging. It's a lot more fun to watch. But I think football has stayed stagnant. So this makes sense as to why UEFA are now looking to the streaming giants and saying, hey, we want you to bid for the Champions League, because the streaming giants have a different way of thinking compared to the cable broadcasters. The cable broadcasters are not as agile as streamers, and they think old school. Whereas the newer age that we're in now at the moment, we've got the YouTubers, Arsenal Fan TV, DR Sports that are pushing the critiquing and talking about the game on online. And then now you're starting to see the CBS guys with Thierry Henry, Kate Abdo, and Micah Richards now trying to blend that modern day football fun on the couch with your boys, chatting, talking and laughing and joking, but still trying to create a good show that respects the game. So we are now starting to see football evolve, and I like that. But my concern is that if Netflix or any of the streamers get Champions League, and Amazon, I think this is the last season, or last season was the last season that they show Champions League games. But if one of them get the full rights for the major markets, prices are going to skyrocket 100%. The prices are going to be insane. And more importantly, it's going to add another gatekeeper to a sport that should be accessible to the masses. Football, out of most of the sports that people can earn a lot of money from, football mainly comes from a working class background. It's not like Formula One where you need to be rich to get into the sport. So making it not accessible to the masses, I'm not a big fan of. Back in the day, we used to be able to watch Champions League football on ITV, and they produce some of the most classic moments. One that jumps to mind is the Ronaldinho toe poke against Chelsea. That is a memory that will always stick with me. So whilst I'm happy that football's modernizing and jumping into the new gen and it's going to be on streaming, I can watch it on my phone, I can watch it on my iPad, I do have a slight concern that I don't want them to completely gatekeep the sport. If a streamer does get the rights, I really hope, which they have done here or there in the past, I hope that they make, some of the games free to air. They did that on YouTube. I think there was a Champions League final or semi-final for the Europa League or Champions League, one of them. But they made it free to air so everyone could watch it. I think that would be the fairest move. But in terms of just this as streaming Champions League on Netflix, I'm down for it. It's crazy because in the space of 2 months, Netflix had been reported to be apparently jumping in to buy Warner Bros. And now they're looking to buy the Champions League. I actually thought that out of all the streaming platforms, Netflix would be in trouble the most. Because if you look at Apple, okay, they can fall back on their iPhone, the iPads. They've got other revenue sources that if Apple TV Plus doesn't perform as well, they can, mix the numbers up with other products. Amazon Prime. People only have Prime because of the delivery service. And then now with good shows like The Boys, people are now starting to tune into Amazon. But again, Amazon Web Services, the Alexa products, all of that type of stuff. Paramount, again, legacy company. So I thought that Netflix would have been bought by a Microsoft or another tech giant, because I didn't see them sustaining this long at this rate. But with this news, their pockets must be deep because spending $4 billion on Champions League, that's no small amount of money. And on top of that, they've got other stuff that they've been investing in with the video games, more live events, NFL, and they're probably going to get another performer this year for Christmas Day. So salute to Netflix, man. If they can pull this off, that's a major, major W. So yeah, I thought I'd bring that on the show. Apologies for rambling on too much, but yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on this news with the Champions League potentially going full stream mode. It'll be an interesting look for the sport. Got some more comments down here. Fire Sticks is the way forward. I don't know what you mean by that. I know that Amazon Fire Stick you can buy on Amazon, and you can log in with Netflix and Amazon Prime. So my preferred way is Apple TV. I prefer watching stuff on Apple TV. But yeah, Fire Stick is a nice, light, compact device that you can take anywhere around the world. So yeah, if you like the Fire Stick way, that's cool. That's cool. Someone said factual. There has to be a catch for Netflix wanting to do that though. Well, it's because now they can enter a market that really and truly is kind of like an open market, because clearly football, the sport football, wants to evolve. And I don't think it's going to be able to evolve on cable television. I think days are numbered. I mean, you see it with Match of the Day. As soon as the Premier League football is done, Sky Sports will put the highlights up, already done, edited, in a 2-3 minute video. I can't tell you the last time I watched Match of the Day, because I just go on YouTube now and I can just watch it at my own time. So I think with it being on Netflix, they can one, get more investors, because the market of football is billions and billions. And then two, they'll be able to charge more on their subscriptions. They have a justification to say, okay, if you're paying £20 a month for 4K streaming, family sharing, all this type of stuff, then an extra, I don't know, £5 to £10 a month, you now get NFL games, Champions League games, boxing. And to be honest, to the user, when you say it like that, if I'm already spending £24, an extra tenner a month to watch football, it's a no-brainer, really. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Someone in the comments said Fire Sticks. What do you mean by that? Yeah. Yeah, what do you mean by Fire Sticks? I like I said, it's a great device. It's a great streaming device. You know, if Amazon wants to sponsor this stream, my email's in the description down below. So but yeah, let's get to the. You know what? There was some breaking news that literally released like 5 minutes ago, but I'm gonna wait till next week. I'll wait till next week's show, because it's not that breaking news. So yeah, I'll speak about it next week. But all right, cool. Next topic, we're gonna get into Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And it's all about his latest film, The Smashing Machine. Now, if you haven't heard of it, it's a biographical sports drama about a MMA fighter, MMA legend, Mark Kerr. Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, he plays this character. He stars as Kerr. He's the lead actor in this film. And this movie was supposed to reignite his image as an actor. Dwayne, to me, is a GOAT. What he did for WWE, WWF, no one can take that away. But when it comes to his movies, you know, he went the action man route. And the discussion online is, compared to John Cena and Dave Bautista, who have both shown real acting rage, The Rock's name hasn't really been respected in the same way. So this movie was an extremely grounded film, far away from Fast and Furious and Jumanji, that monkey film that he was doing. And all of these films did really well at the box office. You know, at one point, I think The Rock was the number one name at the box office. He was like the top earner at the box office. So yeah, this movie was supposed to be that pivot for him. I've not watched the film yet, but reviews have been good. The Smashing Machine is a good movie. He's really good in it. Emily Blunt is really good in it. The story's heartfelt. From people that I've spoken to that have watched it, share the same sentiment. But as you can see here with this title, The Smashing Machine is officially the worst box office opening The Rock or Dwayne Johnson has ever had at the box office. Let's read the article. So it says here, Dwayne Johnson speaks out after Smashing Machine becomes his worst opening ever. Dwayne Johnson experienced the worst box office opening of his career with The Smashing Machine, the A24 drama that debuted to a rough $5.9 million domestically. The actor is taking the bad news in stride. Johnson posted on Instagram that you can't control box office results and praised director Benny Safdie for changing his life with the film, which cast him as the MMA fighter Mark Kerr. Let's scroll down to his Instagram post to actually see what he said. So this is his post. From deep in my grateful bones, thank you to everyone who has watched the Smashing Machine. In our storytelling world, you can't control box office results. But what I realize you can control is your performance and your commitment to completely disappear and go elsewhere. And I will always run to that opportunity. It was my honor to transform in this role for my director, Benny Safdie. Thank you, brother, for believing in me. Truth is, this film has changed my life with deep gratitude, respect, and radical empathy. DJ. Later on in this article, it says here, The Smashing Machine created in third place at the box office with 5.9 million from just under 3,500 venues. I'm assuming this is based in America. Those ticket sales were below the projections of $8 to $15 million and marked a career low for Johnson, below his 2010 thriller Faster, which was 8.5 million, not adjusted for inflation. It's also a blow for A24, which spent 50 million to produce the movie and many more millions on promotional efforts, including stops at the Venice and Toronto Film Festival. The Smashing Machine was largely acclaimed when it premiered at Venice, with Safdie winning the Fest's Best Director prize. Even reviews that were not favourable to the movie still praised Johnson's lead in Turn, which has been widely tipped as a major contender in the Oscars race for Best Actor. Crazy. All right, cool. Boy. Like I said, look, Dwayne Johnson's a GOAT. I personally feel I don't think he should have responded to the noise. First of all, this film's an A24 film. When you hear A24 attached to a movie, you know you're getting more of a film, you know, a more grounded movie. You're not going to see monkeys jumping anywhere, you know, The Rock handling a missile on ice and driving a car with one hand at the same time. We're going to get narrative, character development, cinematography, all the stuff that comes with quote unquote films. So, you know, again, and those type of films don't tend to be out the gate box office smashes. It normally takes for like word of mouth to go around to say, you know what, that's a really good film, man. And then more people, I mean, with Sinners, when Sinners first came out, it would like before the projections before weren't anything amazing. But with Sinners, it was more so, yo, you need to go watch Sinners because that is a fantastic movie. Weapons, a horror movie that came out earlier this year. Similar thing. Word of mouth helped Weapons. So I think for him to jump out the gate like this, there probably needs to be an understanding that, you know, this is your first grounded movie in a very, very long time. So it's going to take a little while for people to adjust to seeing you in this non-Action Man format. Publicly addressing it, like he did here on his Instagram post, it just amplifies the worst opening ever. Like, if you're on the internet, and I'm only talking about this because he posted it. Like, I was scrolling online, like, what? Why is he posting it? I never would have heard that this was the worst box office opening if he didn't post it. So, you know, news cycles don't last longer than a week, not depending on the news, but, you know, there'll be a news story next week. You know, Trump's going to say something and people are going to forget about the Smashing Machine. But when you put it on your Instagram, now I'm talking about it. Now you guys are hearing about it. So yeah, I mean, it could be the other side of it where bad news is good news, especially for promotion. So for those of you that are listening to this, you may be thinking, oh, what makes the Smashing Machine so bad? You might want to check it out. I don't know, but he could be thinking that way. I doubt it. And especially after like Black Adam, you know, that is still fresh in people's minds. So I felt he shouldn't have posted that on Instagram. And look, if the reviews, you'll be in that Oscar conversation, which I don't think The Rock has been in his career, people are going to forget opening numbers. And to be honest, I mean, for me, a good film is a good film regardless if it makes money or not. Same way a good album is a good album regardless if it sells 1 million copies or if it sells 10 copies. If the story's good, if the acting's good, if it makes me feel a certain way, I like it. And for people who judge art on numbers, you know, this film isn't for them. And I think that should be his mentality. You know, his silence would have let the legacy of the film be shaped by the people that the film is targeted towards. Now you're just going to get trolls online. He'll probably become memes, and now this kind of just attaches to him anywhere he goes. So the new Jumanji is in production. If the new Jumanji film doesn't do well, guess where people are coming to? His Instagram, saying, hey, hang on a minute, you was the guy 10 years ago, what's happened now? You know, when 50 Cent's like, damn, homie, in high school you was the man, homie. Like, that's what people will be like to The Rock. So that's why I think he shouldn't have shared this on Instagram. Keep it between your people, behind the scenes. I get it, it's ego. You want to be that guy that has the best box office numbers out the gate. I get that filmmaking is a business. You need to show that you can bring bums on seats. I get all of that. But in this instance, I think maybe he should have just not have done that. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Should he have posted this? Should he have not posted it? Have you watched the film? Let me know your thoughts on it. And if more, let's say next week, the box office numbers jumps up, then maybe his Instagram post was a genius move, but I doubt that. Let's check in with the comments now. You can't defend him anymore. Going out sad. No, I think there's still a long way for The Rock to fall. You know, he's still The Rock. His legacy cemented. Worse than Black Adam. I've not watched it, but I don't think this film's worse than Black Adam. There's no way it could be that. Why is he such a loser? Shouldn't have addressed it. It's actually sad. Still need to watch it though. Yeah. It you know what? It is sad seeing someone like The Rock, who for your whole life you've seen him be The Rock from WWE, fearless, always head strong, rarely looking vulnerable and stuff, and then now from Black Adam, it's just like one thing after another. He needs to do Jumanji 4 and 5. I'm still gonna watch Jumanji. I like the Jumanji films. I actually think him and Kevin Hart together are, I think, one of the best duos on the big screen. And even off camera, when they're not scripted, I think they are the funniest two people to be around. Like Kevin Hart, not scripted, is one of the funniest people, and The Rock plays into his banter. So I think he needs to get back with Kevin Hart and start making some bangers again. So yeah. All right, cool. We got. I can't comment until they see the movie. Still have the essence of Black Adam to get rid of. Is he doing? Yeah, no, Black Adam was a bad film, man. I can't lie. That was a bad film. Yeah, he is doing the live action Moana. They're actually filming that at the moment. So he's gonna be playing the same character but in live action. And I know they just did Moana 2. Kind of doesn't make any sense, but yeah. Disney are gonna live action everything until they have nothing left. Yeah, I hope it's good, because that first Moana film is a classic. Moana 2, I heard mixed messages about it. I still need to watch it, but I hope it's good. All right, cool. We've got just under 10 minutes before Traitors, so I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna wrap this up with 2 reviews. So let's take it to the first review, and this review is for a film called Good Boy. This is a supernatural horror film directed by Ben Leonberg, and it follows a haunted house. And the unique element about this film is that the horror is all from the perspective of a dog named Indy. So this dog here, we only see what's going on from the dog's perspective. And fun fact, the dog is actually the director's real life dog. This is his dog. The Indy is his dog. The film debuted at South by Southwest. That's a festival that earlier this year, I think like March time. And out the gate, people were calling this film like one of the best horror films of the year. You need to see this when it comes out. Rah, rah, rah. I watched it. I actually watched it a couple of weeks ago. I forgot to talk about this last week. It's out in cinemas tomorrow. Out in cinemas tomorrow. So here's the Lowery review for Good Boy. What worked for me in the film? Refreshing. Sorry, I should have water, man. My throat's from talking too much. But yeah, look, the film has a refreshing concept. I've never seen a horror film told in this way. It's extremely unique, and it really is from the dog's perspective. Like, human faces are all blurred out. If you do see a human in the film, it's all from like the neck down. So it's literally from a dog's angle. That's all you see. And in addition to this, you have some really strong camera work and directing that actually works to build some great tension, especially in the first, I'd say like 10, 15 minutes. And then towards the end of the film, I think it does good. It does well to build tension for a horror movie. Star of the show, though, guys, is Indy the dog. Now, you're probably gonna laugh, but the dog in this film, has one of the best performances I've seen all year. And I know Indy's a dog, but it's hard to describe without watching it. But throughout the film, I was constantly asking, how on earth did they get a dog to act like this? How was the dog? To be honest, you start watching this film and not adding in your head that you're watching a horror film from the dog's perspective, because the dog does things that you're just like, wait, how does it know to do that? Why is it doing that? Oh my God. And so for me, if there's ever like a competition for animal actors, Indy's winning it because it was phenomenal. Like, it really was a fantastic performance. Now, what didn't work for me in this film is that if you're not a pet owner or a lover of animals in general, I don't think there is much to keep you engaged with this film. The movie definitely targets animal lovers, especially dog owners, and it does things that I think only animal lovers, pet owners would relate to. I think if you don't have that in you, then this film probably won't tug on the heartstrings as it would an animal lover. Because the film is told from the dog's perspective, and this is another element that didn't really work for me, whilst I love it and it's unique and bold, at the same time, the movie feels extremely limited. Like, there's not much to work with in the film. And there are a lot of repeated scenes. The first 10, 15 minutes, I'm sitting in my seat thinking, rah, they're building some really good tension. I'm loving this mystique. And you're just waiting for the film just to take it to that next level, especially with the horror that we've received in recent years. You know, I'm thinking, all right, when's it going to jump? When's it going to reach that next bit? Unfortunately, because of the dog element, it can't do much. So there are a lot of repeated scenes and moments, and then once it gets into that repetition, the allure of everything kind of just waters down a bit, and it doesn't become as frightening, it's not as scary, and then the whole lore around everything just becomes a tad bit boring. Also, in addition to that, that didn't really work for me, is that the story is extremely thin. And at the same time, much of the film is left to interpretation. That is fine. I don't mind that in films. But when there isn't anything there, nothing to stick with me, I just left the cinema thinking, I don't know. So overall, this is it's an impressive film technically. I enjoyed the cinematography. I loved indie. I love watching indie on if there's a film with indie in it that's not a horror movie, I'm going to watch it. I respect the bold creative risk in this film, and I really appreciate that in especially in an era of reboots. I'm thankful that this movie came out. But for me personally, it doesn't move the needle to warrant the one of the best horror films of the year quotes that I was seeing prior to watching this film. So, like I said, if you're an animal lover, if you own pets, if you're intrigued by the concept, then you probably will like this film. But if none of this appeals to you, then this movie is most definitely not going to be for you. If you're intrigued, good news is the film is only an hour and 12 minutes. So it's the shortest film that I've watched this year. So yeah, that's my review on Good Boy. Let's see. So many films I need to watch. Yeah, man, you've been lagging this year. Should have been a cat. If Good Boy was a cat, the film would have been over in 2 minutes because the cat's running away. That's one thing for sure. The loyalty that Indy has for his own in the film, you ain't getting that from a cat. They're not unless you put food on the floor, then they'll stay. But they're running. All right, guys. Last topic for tonight, and it's the big one of the week. And I'm going to be reviewing Tron Ares. I watched this movie early. Shout out to Disney for the invite. I appreciate the invite to watch films early. So Tron Ares is the third movie in the Tron series. It's a standalone sequel to Tron Legacy that came out in 2010. This one's directed by Joaquin Ronin, and we have a stacked cast, man. We have Jared Leto, Greta Lee, Evan Peters, Jodie Turner-Smith, Jeff Bridges, Gillian Anderson, and many more faces. And this time around, we follow a character called Ares, who's played by Jared Leto, who is an advanced program sent from the digital realm into the physical world on a perilous mission. And this basically marks humanity's first contact with AI beings. So prior to watching this film, I wouldn't say like I'm a super fan of Tron, but I enjoyed Tron Legacy. I thought Tron Legacy did an extremely good job of bringing the Tron fans from the original film to the modern day at the time, which was 2010, and then also pushing that story, pushing the narrative further and doing things, whilst it still kept the Tron format, it added some new refreshing things to it. So going into Tron Ares, especially with this now AI coming into the real world and all of the stuff that I saw in the trailer and the cast, I was like, all right, what have you guys got for me? So with Tron Ares, I will say, guys, that it's okay. It's not a total mess, but it's not at the level that I wanted it to be. What worked for me in the film, this is most definitely one of the most visually stunning movies of the year. Some of the best CGI that you'll see, set designs, costumes. I mean, Jared Leto's costume as Ares is one of the most fire outfits this year that I've seen on screen. Absolutely wavy. So I liked that element in the film. I actually didn't mind the film trying something new by bringing AI into real life. It seems to be on brand for this generation, especially where we are with AI in actual real life. So I actually liked that they did that, and I was keen to see what themes are they going to highlight, what are they going to do with that new way of life in this Tron film. Greta Lee is my standout performance. She crushes it in the film, does really good. And I have to say, the score from the Nine Inch Nails, I don't listen to their music, but the score for this film was straight fire. Absolutely fire. It just complemented, when the action scenes happen, it just complemented them so well. So a big W for that. Now, the things that didn't work well for me in this movie, and this is probably one of the biggest negatives that I have, is after leaving the cinema, the first thought that came into my mind was that this film feels hollow, which was strange because there is a lot of stuff that happens and there are some emotional moments that happen. And there were moments where I'm like, yeah, this bit's wicked, or this scene's really cool. Oh, I like that. But then even with all of that happening, I still came out of the cinema feeling, okay, this feels a bit hollow. There's not enough emotional weight. There's not enough heart in the movie. So I didn't really leave with anything. There was nothing long lasting after watching this film. Another thing that didn't work for me, guys, is there is a lack of classic Tron moments. Yes, there's a cool bike scene. There's a bike chase scene. Yes, there's a battle here or there. But otherwise, it felt like a dialogue-heavy film. And unfortunately, the story is thin, which I'm not mad at. You know, this is a blockbuster movie. It's supposed to be loud and in your face, and it's Tron. You know, it's a video game. So I'm not expecting, you know, an Oppenheimer, Parasite level of storytelling. So I'm like, okay, cool. If you're not going to do that, then I need to have way more engaging moments. I need to see Tron. I want to see the Transformer type stuff happen all the time. I want to see more battle scenes. I want to see more engaging moments. And unfortunately, it definitely lacked engaging moments for me. So guys, look, in all, the ingredients for a great movie were there. Extremely strong themes, ambitious ideas, trying something new, great cast actually, great score, visually stunning, but it just doesn't come together. It just doesn't blend into one cohesive movie that you leave, that I left the cinema feeling, yeah, that's a banger. So I'll go back to my original statement that Tron Ares is okay. It's not a total mess, but it definitely could have been much better. So my takeaway, it's a fun surface level blockbuster. If you're a Tron fan, still go and watch this in the cinema. You will have some fun with it. But if you're someone that looks for more of a deeper storytelling, more characters to have, you know, deeper character development, and you want to leave with something more than just surface level stuff, then this film probably won't be the one for you. So yeah, that is my review on Tron Ares. So let me see who's in the chat. Oh right, there's bear chats. Let me just go. Should have been a cat. I've read that already. Cats can't be trained. Yeah, they can't be trained. I'm still trying to train my cats, and they're still jumping up on the worktops. Leave cats alone. Yes, you can only train them with food. What's good, everyone? Hello, everyone. Hello. Got Sabrina in the chat. Hello. What's good? Stephen? Jared Leto needs to stop making blockbusters. That's funny. We got someone from Canada. What's good, Tani? Good to see you, bro. Sorry, I'm just getting off to work. The actor alone put me off the film. I'm assuming Jared Leto. I want to hear what Jared's cast say about him. He's got a bad... Yeah, Jared Leto, you should go online. He does have a bad reputation. I mean, there's like cult stuff and other stuff that he's been linked to. So let me... I will just start with that. Leto's to blame for it being dead. Legacy was really good. Like I said, Legacy to me is the better film. It just has way more to it. But Tron had it. If they probably will get a sequel to Tron Ares, so I think they need to go back to the drawing board and just focus in on the stuff that works really well in this film and just hone in on that. Cats train us. Not true. Send me a cat. There's loads of people in the chat. What's good, everyone? But yeah, guys, look, that is the end of the show for tonight, man. Let me know if 8 p.m. is too early or too late. I would like to know. If you're not aware, Traitors is on now. I know I'm 10 minutes late, so I'm probably gonna have to use iPlayer. But I'm just reading more comments. Oh yeah, don't forget, if you haven't already, like the stream. If you're new to the channel, sub to the YouTube channel. Got more content coming out. Next week, let me just give you a hint. Next week, I'm going to be talking about this film here. So I was fortunate enough to go to an early screening for this. I will be talking about Black Phone 2 next week, and a few other things that I can't speak about just yet. But and all the news that comes with next week as well. So guys, look, thank you very much for, what's this? Good time for me, 8 p.m. All right, cool. So maybe I might change the show to 8 p.m. rather than 9:30. Europa League is on Thursday at 8 p.m. Yeah, but Man United aren't in the Europa League, so I'm good. Smash up the likes, people. Yes, guys, if you can, it helps the channel, it helps the video so much. I hate playing these algorithm games. I hate begging people to do stuff. It's annoying, but it's part of the game. Great show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate that. I won't even watch Black Phone, the way my imagination works. Black Phone 2 looks a bit meh. Hope I'm wrong. You'll just have to tune in next week for my review, the Lowery review. Traitors, great show, bro. All right, guys, look, have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, I'll be here next week, same time, same place. And yeah, have a great weekend. And until next week, guys, peace.